Yeah, today we are discussing about like simple leave application. Okay, in this leave application, what is the requirement in this leave application is like there should be two teams. There are two teams. One is like employee team, and second one is like manager team. Okay, means we have to create a two teams. One is like employee team, second one is like manager team. Okay. So, what does employee team? That means I will add two users in employee and two users in manager. Fine. You know like how to create a teams. I will show you like how to create a teams. In 7.5.1, we are calling these teams as participant groups. In 8.5, these are renamed as team. Okay, next. How many lanes we have? So here will have like two lanes. Okay, or two swim lanes. One for employee lane, another is for manager lane. Okay, we'll have two lanes. One is like employee lane, second one is like manager lane. Okay, next. Okay, employee lane is to employee team, manager lane is connected to manager lane. Okay, next. uh, so what is the requirement is like, so when employee submits the leave application, when employee submits leave application, obviously manager can take some decision. Manager can take some decision. What decision he can take? Whatever the employee submits, manager has to see in read-only mode, not in like uh, overwrite mode. Manager has to like change it, see it in read-only mode. He has to take the appropriate decision. Vivek, can you hear me? Hello, Vivek.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Vamsi, I think it seems there might be some problem with you. Vamsi can't hear me.
Jagdish, can you hear me? Jagdish, can you hear me?
Vamsi, is it?
Yes, yes, Vamsi. We can hear Vamsi.
Hello, Vamsi.
We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. When employee submit leave application, manager has to take. Okay, manager has to take some decision. What decision he has to take? He has to take either approve or he has to take either reject. Either he has to approve the leave or he has to either reject the leave. So what is the requirement like? If he approves, if he approves, we are just ending the process. If he approves, we are ending the process. If rejects, then send back to employee. Send back to employee. When employee submits a leave application, like manager will take some, obviously will take some decision. Like if he takes some decision like approve, like it should end the process. If manager rejects, again it should be sent back to the employee. Again it should be sent back to the employee. Okay. This is our business requirement. Okay. So what? So for this, we need to take some objects. So what are the things we need to consider? For example, we have assume that we need to create some VO called some employee details. Employee details is BO. That means which carry some business data. BO is nothing but which carries some business data. I will show you now how to do that. Before that, it is showing like my process designer is unable to connect to the server. Might be like some problem. Want to check this. It's showing in started state only, but here when I click on login, it is throwing me some error. Verify that process center is started or not. Yeah, now it's authenticating. Okay, we can build this leave application. So actually this leave application is not we are completely doing it as a leave application. What I want you to learn is like how to pass the data from one activity to other activity. In one activity you are having like someone is filling some data. How to pass that data to other activity. That means you should know like how to do the mapping and all. So that is our main intention. Okay, I'm just creating a new business object. Okay, I'm just clicking on here, select creating a new BPD. My BPD name is leave application. My BPD name is leave application. Okay. So when I open my BPD or when I am trying to create a BPD, by default, I will get one team lane, one system lane. Now, as per your business, do you require any system lane here? You are having two teams. One is like system, other one is like just a team. Do you require any system team here? No. Right now we are working with simple leave application. We don't have any of the automated services or update services or something here. So there won't be like we don't use this system lane. Okay. Assume that this team is for employee. So we require another team as well for manager. Okay. So I'm just changing this name of the lane to some employee. I'm just changing the name of the lane to employee. Next, I drag and drop a new lane. So this is my lane. I drag and drop a new lane. Why I drag and drop a new lane? For manager. I drag and drop a new lane for manager. Okay. Now I am assuming this is the employee lane, this is manager lane. Initially, employee is going to start. I want to bring down the manager lane down. So select the lane, right click here. Here you can see some option called as move down lane. Just select that option. Okay. Now I have two lanes. One is like employee lane, second one is like manager lane. I'm not using the system lane. Leave it blank. Okay. Now, okay, we are just building a process. While building a process, as I said, you need to follow some best practices. So what are the best practices you need to follow is like, see here, the auto tracking tab is enabled here. The auto tracking tab is enabled here. But what happens like why it is enabled means in the architecture of IBM BPM, in the process center you can see process center server and performance data warehouse server. So performance data warehouse server is by default it is there, that's why tracking is enabled. But in our leave application we don't use any tracking. We don't use any tracking. So unnecessarily it is tracking the data. It is creating some performance issues. That's why most of the organizations what they are doing is like they are unchecking this auto tracking. They are making it as a point in the like coding guidelines. They are unchecking this tracking because of this reason. Why? Because we want like the leave application to execute in process server. or process center server, not in the performance data warehouse. For we don't require, as per our requirement, there is no such reports to be generated now. Okay, so next, before that, okay, you have just started, fine. Before that, what you have to learn, like how to create a teams. So as per our requirements, okay, as per our requirements, what I did, uh, teams I didn't create it, but two swim lanes I created. One is like employee swim lane, second one is like manager swim lane. So now I'm going to create some teams. Now I'm going to create some teams. Okay, in order to create a team, click on the processes plus button against the process. Here you can see something called as team. Team is nothing but the group. Team is nothing but the group. Employee group or manager group. That means the members of the employee group and members of the manager group. You can define it here. Okay. Okay. Employee. So this is my team or participant group. I am adding like some users of the employee. Okay. What are the users? Add user. Vivek, add user. Vamsi. Okay, I added two users. One is Vivek, second one is Vamsi. Okay, next. I'm creating one more team, manager team. In this manager team, I'm adding only one manager, Devi. Or I will try to show you in process portal as well. Uh, Devi and Sudhi. Okay, these are the guys in the manager group. Okay, Vivek and Vamsi are in employee group. Okay, so in real time, no, like you can add here users, or you can also add some groups as well. That groups are nothing but the LDAP groups. Okay, that group may contain like some of the dummy users. Okay, when this application has been deployed into your test environment, that group contains some testing related users. If the application is deployed in prod environment, that group contains some real-time users, so who are like end users who are really using that application. Generally we will add some groups here instead of like users. Okay, now come back to here, come back to our leave application. Here I am just drag and dropping an activity. I am just drag and dropping an activity, some employee. Okay, I am assuming that he is an employee. Next I am drag and dropping one more activity, some manager. Okay, I'm drag and dropping one more activity, some manager. Okay, now, okay, there should be some decision has to be taken by the manager. I don't know like what type of decision he will take. So based on the decision, we have to do that. So as per our requirement, when employee submits the leave application, manager has to take some decision. That means when employee submits the leave application, manager has to receive this. Manager has to receive this. Manager has to see this in read-only mode. So he has to take either two decisions, either approve or reject. Okay, so if approves, so I don't know like what type of decision he will take. So I'm taking a gateway, approve or reject. Okay, I'm just taking some gateway named as some approve or reject. So now I'm doing the connections. This is the employee, passes some data to the manager. Okay, either if he approves, go to end. If he rejects, back to employee. If he rejects, back to employee. Okay, now it's very important. Try to understand. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay. Okay, we can follow the best practices as well here. Okay. Uh, so here I'm naming this line. So employee submit leave. Okay. Anyway, by looking at this, I can see like the employee between employee and manager. So employee submit leave. Okay. When he clicks on submit, manager will like receive that. When manager takes some decision, this line is for approve. This line is for approve. This line is for reject. This line is for approve. This line is for reject. Okay. Okay. Now it's looking good. Now it's looking good. So even I can give some color to employee as well as manager lane. Okay, I can give some color to employee lane as well as manager lane and this activities as well. So that like it will look some nice in colorful way. So this we don't have the coloring section. Okay, fine. So employee like submits the leave application, manager has to receive that data, and when manager takes some decision, no, either approve or reject. When manager approves, it should go to end. When manager rejects, back to employee. Okay, this is the out level process or high level process which you are having. Okay, fine. Next, you also followed the best practices. You disable the tracking. Yeah, you disable the tracking. And one more best practices you need to follow is like some leave application. One more practice you need to follow is like leave application. Okay. So in the documentation part is very much important. So this is one more best practice you need to follow. I just copied the documentation here. Okay, so that when people try to see this, they can easily understand like what purpose like I have created this leave application. Okay. Now now it looks good. Now fine. Now see here, I am individually creating the UIs. Why? Because when I run this employee, by default it is connected to default human service. See here, if I am trying to run this employee, okay, it is switching to inspector mode. Okay, employee. When I click on run, see here, when I am running some employee, it is assigned to all users. It is assigned to all users. But what is my requirement? It should assign to Vivek and Vamsi. So why it is assigning to all users? Okay, that is one problem we have. And second problem is like whenever I run the task, I can see some default human service. I can see some default human service. Okay, I can see some default human service. But I don't want this default human service. I want some UI has to be created. I want some UI. I don't want this default human service. Okay, how to build that UI? Okay, for that building the UI, for building that UI, what we am doing is like I am just taking some human service, employee UI. I'm just taking some human service, employee UI. Click on finish. Okay, so I'm drag and dropping one coach. I'm assuming that he is the employee. I am assuming that he is the employee. I am drag and dropping a coach. Okay, okay, I am assuming that he is the employee. Now, what are the details employee might have? whatever the details my employee might have. Employee might have like a name, okay. Employee might have some designation. So employee might have some department. So employee might have like these three fields. Okay. So whenever employee has to submit the leave application, he is like submitting these three fields. Okay. And these three fields has to receive when employee click on submit, these three should go to the manager. These three should go to the manager. So I have to take again these three as like output variables as well. Name, designation.
Manish, we can create the viewer, right, instead of these three fields.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that only. Next one is department. Okay. See here, if you are writing it in like I do have like three parameters or three variables of three columns related to some employee. Okay, if I am writing like this, okay, input and output variable. Assume that if I am having like some 50 details related to some employee, not single detail, 50 details. If there is something like 50 details which are related to the employee, in such scenario, if I am like writing 50 input variables, 50 output variables, this is not recommendable. This is not recommendable. So in order to like handle the variables, in order to carry this business data, we are having a concept called as business object. Okay, let me show you like how we can create some business object, how you can put all these columns, all these fields in this business object, or all these variables in the business object. Now we can see in the data, you can see some business object. Okay, what is this business object? Business object is nothing but which carries your business data, which carries your business data. So I'm writing this business object name as some employee details. So see here, we are following one naming convention. What is the standard we are following? Whenever we are writing some variables, we are following camel case. Like starting with small letters, later if anything there, we will start with like capital letter, there won't be any spaces. When we are taking the name of the VO, we are starting with capital letter. Okay, we are starting with capital. So finish. Now here I have to just show you like what are the fields it contains, what are the variables it contains. Okay, I'm adding name. Okay, name is string only. Next designation. Next department. Name, designation, department. Okay, one second, Vivek. I'll just back in 1 minute. Vivek and Vamsi. I'm back. Okay, we do have like three fields, like three variables: name, designation, department. So what is a business object? A business object is nothing but which carries some business data, which carries some business data. So all the data is present in this employee details. So like what I can do now, come back to your leave application. Okay, your employee UI. In this employee UI, instead of like writing like this name, So I'm just removing this. Okay. As of now, I'm just using name, designation, and department. If you want, you can add like dates and all, like from date to date, what is the reason for leave. But we are just naming, we have just named it as leave application. But what is our actual intention is like, what is our actual intention? We have to pass the data from one activity to another activity. That is our main intention. So as of now, I'm taking on input employee details. I'm taking on input employee details. Okay, name of my input is employee details. That means employee is entering some details. I'm assuming that he is entering some details. Okay, which is of time, some employee details. Okay, so I'm just like, he is going to like fill some details. Okay, and these details has to send it to the manager. These details has to send it to the manager. So again, I'm writing employee details of type employee details. Okay, assume that, okay, employee is going to fill the details and he is going to submit. He is going to submit. So I have taken input variable and I have taken output. Later I will remove this input variable. This is of not required actually. So I will show you like after like completing everything, I will just remove it. Okay, as of now, assume that, okay, employee is entering some details and he is going to, when he clicks on submits, like it should go to it. Why we are taking here as output? Why? Because manager has to receive this as input. We have to send. That's why in order to send that, we have just taken it as output. Okay, fine. Now come to the coach. Click on here employee. Okay, now I am drag and dropping a text field. Okay, as I said in the yesterday session, you can drag and drop like here a text field and you can rename it to some name, and then again you can go to here and you have to bind it to some name. So in this way you can do, but uh, this following this way is not that much of like okay, it is fine, but it is not that much of simple way. Like always you have to drag and drop some text field, you have to do the binding. Instead of that, you can do a simple job. You can directly drag and drop your variables. You can directly drag and drop your complete variable section, so that BO will be automatically populated. Complete information will be, complete fields are automatically populated. See here, name I got, designation I got, department I got. So my fields are ready, name, designation, department. Okay, so in the document of requirement, like I am using something like word submits. So instead of like okay, I'm just renaming it to some submit. Okay, now now see here, I have like three: name, designation, and department. Okay, he is going to like submit. Okay, name is mapped to here. Okay, data mapping is also data. This is called as data binding. This is called as data binding. Okay, fine. Now let us like run this and check how the UI looks like. Okay, fine. UI looks good. Okay, name some Raj, designation some senior software engineer, department is some IT. Yeah. Okay. My employee UI is ready now. Similarly, what I am doing is like I am creating some manager UI. I am creating some manager UI. Okay. So I'm drag and dropping a coach, assuming that he is the manager. I'm drag and dropping a coach. Okay. Now here, what should be the input? Obviously, the employee details. What employee is sending as output, manager has to receive that. So I am adding an input as something like employee of type employee detail. Why? Because this is sending like, forget about this variable name. You can use any type of variable name, but the type should be same. So what is the output this employee is sending? Uh, this employee UI is sending the output as employee details. The output as employee details. So what you are doing is like you are just receiving that. What you are doing is like you are just receiving that. Okay. Next, based upon this, manager has to like take some decision. So I have taken this as Boolean variable. So what I'm assuming like if manager clicks on approve, if manager clicks on approve, assume that this is like true. If manager clicks on like reject, I'm taking this value of this variable as false. Okay, we'll see like how to implement this. Okay, your diagram completed. Next variable came to variables, fine. Now in the coach like you need to like show that information now here. So drag and drop this employee, yeah, name, designation, department, fine. Now come back to your variable section. Okay, is your manager okay? So drag and drop a server script. Why? Because manager can take two decisions. What are the decisions he can take? Either he can take approve it or he can reject it. So approve it, what happens? If he approves, we have to assign what value to the boolean variable. So why? Because you are giving one output here. What is the name of the output? Decision, which is of boolean. If approves, what is the value of this decision? True. If rejects, the value of the decision is false. So in order to write some logic there, if approves, like we have to assign some value to this output variable. That's why I'm just taking two server scripts. Okay. Approves, rejects. So see here. Okay, employee approves. So I'm not getting one more path. For drawing one more path, I'm not getting. Why? Because in your screen you have only one button called OK. Okay, that means only one path is there. So you don't have like another button here. You don't have like another button. That's why you are unable to draw the path. That's why you are unable to draw the path. So in order to draw the path, I need one more button to be added. So I'm going to the views. Here I'm adding one more button. Okay. So I am changing this button to approve. This OK to some approve. This button to some reject. Okay. Now see here, this automatically changed it to approve. Okay. This is reject. Okay. If approves or rejects, we are just ending here. Okay. We will write like the real logic in the uh, when we can write the real logic in BPD level. Like if approves, what happens? If rejects, what happens? Here, just we are concentrating. Like if approves or if he rejects, like we are just assigning some value here. What happened? We are not getting that path. Let me delete this again and we draw one more time. Okay, we have like approve and reject. Okay. If approves, what should be there? Like okay, our UI is also ready. I hope. Yeah, UI is also ready. Next, if approves, what is our intention is like why you are taking this server script, or like if employee manager clicks on approve button. If he clicks on approve button, what should be the value of decision? If he clicks on approve button, the what should be the value of decision? Decision should be a value. Decision should be assigned some value called as true. Okay, this is the logic. But in IBM BPM, you can't write like this directly. So assigning some true to the decision. So how the code you need how to write? Okay. So where is this decision actually? This decision is present in under local variable section. This decision is present under local variable section. Okay. And you have to access that. Okay. So you already know in the history of IBM BPM from where this IBM BPM came. This came from Lombardi. Okay. What is the product name of Lombardi? Teamworks. Lombardi is a company which is delivering some BPM products, which is named some Teamworks. So always your code, everything will start here with TW. TW stands for Teamworks. And here you can access what type of variable it is. TW dot local. This is called as namespaces. These are all called as namespaces. Okay. TW dot, it is a local variable. That's why I selected local. Next put dot. Okay. So if you didn't select anything, again you want to like populate that whatever the options you got. So after this dot, type some control followed by your spacebar button. Again you will get this like pop up like you can select the decision. TW dot local dot decision equals. You can assign value here. I am assigning. I am assigning. Okay. I'm just deleting the older one. Okay. TW dot local dot decision equal to true. Similarly, if the manager rejects this, so what should be the value? So how you have to assign the value of a decision to false. So like you have to write tw dot local dot decision equal to some false. Okay, tw dot local dot decision equal to some false. Okay, fine. Okay, is there any shortcut for this tw dot local? Yes. So what is the shortcut? tw l stands for local fo- followed by control with space, automatically tw dot local will come. Because whenever we are working with the code in the workflow, you may write like more than like 200 or 300 lines of code. So in such case, every time like typing tw dot local, instead of that, you people will fastly you can do like twl control space. You can select the appropriate variable. Okay. Now, for if he rejects, we are assigning some value false. Fine. Okay. Now it's looking good. Now what I'm doing is like I'm just running this manager UI. Yeah. But here it's not looking good. This approve and reject are not looking good. Why? Because it is coming side by side. It is not coming side by side. It is one after the other. So this is not. I want to make this like how to do it. Okay. For that, I'm going to the coaches. Okay, I want to make it like side by side. That means two horizontal section. So what I am doing is like here I have something like a section called as horizontal section. Just drag and drop this horizontal section. Okay, in this horizontal section, put this approve. Okay, put this reject. See here, in this horizontal section, I got some. Again, just I am showing this, making this as out of this. In horizontal section, so here I need to drop, this is the place where I need to, if I drop it here, it can't be like placed. So always approve and reject both I need to drop here only. That's why it is showing drop additional content here. Approve I am dropping here, reject also I am dropping there, then only like I can put like both approve and reject. Okay, so I have like two options, one is like reject, other is like approve. Now I'm just running this. Okay, I'm just running this. See here now how the manager UI looks like. Yeah, good, but what is this horizontal section is coming? So I don't want this horizontal section to be visible. So select this horizontal section. There is something called as label visibility here. It is in show state. Make it to some hide state. Control S. Okay, now again run this. See here. Now it's looking good.
Jagdish, do we have to always click on that run button, or we can change here and just refresh the browser? Will that work? Or
In order to like see the UI,
yeah,
yeah, you have to click on this run button.
okay. So every time it launches.
Yes, every time you have to like check it like how it is, how the UI is looking like. If you want like in step by step, you can go with like debug option.
Okay.
Okay. Now your UIs are ready. Employee UI is ready. Manager UI is ready. Okay, fine. Now what I have to do, like I have to integrate. I have to integrate that UIs with this employee activity and this manager activity. Okay, in order to integrate, before integrating, so whenever I am running this, okay, that is ready. Okay, whenever I am running this, okay, instance has been created for me, fine. But in the role of employee, it is assigning to all users. But I don't want to assign it to all users. I want to assign it to like only for employee group and manager group. So, so in order to do that, so I have to do something. So now I will show you like how to map the teams which you are. Yeah. Now select this employee lane. Select this employee lane completely. So after selecting this employee lane, so in the section general, in the behavior section, you can see something called as default lane team. The default lane team, you can see all users. That's why it is assigning to all users. But this is not your requirement. It should be assigned to only to the employee team which you have created here. So that's why this is employee team you have created here. Okay. Click on like select here. Here you can see some employee. Here you can see some employee. Next, select the manager lane. Here you can see some manager. Yeah. So I mapped my teams what I have created with my employee lane as well as manager lane. Okay. Now try to click on this run button. Okay. Now I'm running this task. Now I can see the task is assigned to Vamsi and Vivek. Okay. Now it's looking good. Now it's looking good. So friends, one we achieved, and other one is like other one we need to take care of this. Like we need to like add the UIs for employee and manager. Okay, okay, fine. Now for that, what I'm doing is like okay, assume that okay, employee has some UI attached and manager is also some UI attached. Okay, okay. In tomorrow session, I will show you how I am integrating. Here I can see something called as approve and reject decision is there. So what is this decision? See here, what is this decision is like you can write condition for reject, you know, like when to approve, when to reject. So like before going to like approve and reject, so what are the variables you need to create in your BPD? Okay, you need to decide this. So remember one thing, okay, in this process is something which you are receiving from the external system for application of the leave? No, employee is applying inside a BPD between start and end. He is not receiving anything from the external system. Okay, that's why there won't be any input. That's why there won't be any input. Okay, is manager is receiving something from the external system or manager is giving something to out of this BPD? No, within the BPD only manager if approves sending, if manager click on rejects back to employee. So everything is in between start and end. Then what type of variables I have to take it in my process level? We already discussed it. Everything in between start and end you are usually have to take a private variable. So how many variables I have to take? So select your employee, go to the data mapping. Okay, nothing is there. Why? Because UIs are not attached. Okay, go to the implementation. In the implementation, by default user task is there, default human service. Here you need to select your employee UI. So I am just typing employee. Yeah, selecting the employee UI, got selected. Similarly, selecting the manager in manager lane. Here I am selecting manager UI. Okay, selected employee UI and manager UI. Okay, in employee UI, if I go to the data mapping, I can see some employee details, employee details. Okay, if I go to the manager, I can see employee details, decision. So total, how many variables I have? How many variables I have in terms of like types? Total, you have like two only. One is like employee details. Second one is like decision. Okay, one is like employee details. Second one is like decision. So I am creating a two private variables. One is like employee of type employee details, and second private variable is like decision of type boolean. Decision of type boolean. Okay. Okay. So I am going to the employee. I am just removing this input. Why? Because employee is okay when he runs this UI. So I'm just removing this input in employee. Why? Because when employee runs, he can see these are the outputs which is expecting. You can fill some details, and you can submit it. You can fill some details and you can submit it. There is no need of like using an input here. There is no need of like using some input here. Okay. So come to the leave application. If you go to the data mapping of an employee, you can see like see inside the coach. So for this fields, this is called as data binding. This is called as data binding. And in the BPD level, this is called as data mapping. So here I am mapping with employee details. Here I am mapping this with employee details. Why? Because it is expecting employee details. Here also what it is expecting? Employee details. So I am just clicking on here. I am selecting employee details. Here what it is expecting? Some boolean value it is expecting. So I am just selecting the boolean value. Got it? Next. For this approve reject, you need to write some logic here. Like when to approve it, when to reject it. Suppose you know how to when to approve. If approves, what is the value of the decision? True. If reject, what is the value of the decision? False. Here you are writing some condition to the reject. You are writing some condition to the reject. Approve is a default line. That's why for approve you can see some cross mark here. Some cross mark you can see. So you don't like this. You want like to approve to write the condition. Reject should be your default line. Yeah, you can do that. You can click on here. Now see here, approve you can write some condition. Reject you can see this default sequence line. Reject you can see this. So the default is my default line now. So approve I am writing the condition. tw dot local dot some decision. tw dot local dot some decision equal to true. So in this way you can write, or here only you can write as approve equal to true, and you can, this is also right. You can write from here as well, or you can use this as well. Decision equals some. Okay. Data binding is completed, decision is completed, only like running your application is pending. That running like how to run the application, how to pass the data, and later we need to like convert it into read-only mode. We have like some more enhancements here. So tomorrow I will show you like by running it how to run this and all. So even if you complete in your local machine, you can like run this and you can see how this is working as well. Okay, is it clear? Vamsi or Vivek, do you have any doubts?
Yeah, Jagdish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. We'll meet on like Monday session. Like every Sunday, like we will be having off. Like we'll meet on like Monday at the same time, 6 o'clock. Okay, fine then. We'll meet on Monday. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks Vivek. Thanks Vamsi.